many of us, this Memorial Day is especially meaningful. It is the first since our war in Afghanistan came to an end. Today is the first Memorial Day in 14 years that the United States is not engaged in a major ground war.
There is nothing more important to any politician than the photo op, the public appearance, the optics. But in a nation that is becoming increasingly sensitive to our military, their service, and how they're treated by an increasingly out-of-control Veterans Administration, a commander-in-chief posing with an ice cream cone has created a fluffle that is still being debated. So let's get to it. Studio side, let's welcome back the veteran New York criminal attorney and legal analyst who can never be contained, Adam Thompson, and the contributing writer for RedAlertPolitics.com, Ryan Girdusky. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having us, Ed.
Thank you.
All right, Ryan, I'm going to start with you. Over the weekend, the Democrats post a Memorial Day tweet of an ice cream eating president, and the Twitterverse goes nuts when it says, "Happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone." Now, right up front, I'm the guy that has said time and time again, do not say Happy Memorial Day. I always think it's been the wrong thing to say. The veterans agree with me. Call it reflective or something. But honestly, is this just a tempest in a presidential teapot?
Well, you know, this is the same president who made a soldier move his wedding in order to have a golf game at the same location. So I think the president's had a long history of maybe not being as compassionate to our veterans as he possibly could. I don't really take aggression from them saying Happy Memorial Day, but as far as having an ice cream cone, yeah, I don't think that could be a happy Sunday. I mean, you can eat an ice cream cone any day of the week. It doesn't make it special or significant at all.
Yeah, Adam, let's look at it this way. I mean, this is Memorial Day. It is about the soldiers. It is about the remembrance of our military here. And granted, politicians have done this for a long time. But you would think, or at least, wait a minute, you would hope that this president might be a little bit smarter in such optics.
Well, all politicians are going to take the photo ops and try to milk this for as much as they can, so there's no surprise with any of that to me. But I really hate the commercialization of a holiday, particularly like this. You know, on my radio show, I just had on retired Colonel Soley, and I asked him specifically, because I think your point in the intro to this segment is dead on. There's many people who don't even want to hear Happy Memorial Day, and I asked him as a serviceman who's been through many different combat tours what his position was and other in the military that he knows. And he said to me that it is a day to recognize the sacrifice and those who served, but it isn't a joyous day. But veterans, according to him, still want to hear, thank you for your service, thank you for the sacrifice, we all greatly appreciate it. And I do that, and I do agree with that. But seeing all the commercialization, that just makes me sick.
Ryan, isn't it though fair to say, and I'm going to come back to you on this because I know you said you didn't have a problem with it, and I'm going to talk about it later and comment on this later on and telling it like it is during the show, but when we get down to something like this, isn't happy just the wrong word to use when you're talking about remembering men and women who've fallen in war?
You know what? I think it's the default way to say any kind of day. You know, it's like the reason that people will sing happy anniversary to the happy birthday theme song. They don't know any different. And unless the president had made a conscious decision to make a statement saying, I'm not going to say Happy Memorial Day, I'm going to say have a thoughtful or a very
reflective
somber
is the word I'm going
I don't know.
for.
He could have said something else.
I'm actually using the word
Right.
reflective is what I think is good. You know, wish people a
Reflective,
reflective
right, that was the word
Memorial
used.
Day to think about it. I think that's a good way to do it. Personal opinion, there you go. Oh, yeah, and by the way, one other thing on this, which is sort of interesting. If you do catch this, Ryan, the president coming out with his Memorial Day speech saying, hey, we've got no boots on the ground here. It's still something like that still kind of slaps in the face of the veterans right now who are looking at a president who seems to be tooting his own horn a little bit when in reality we are far from being out of a war footing in the Middle East.
Right. You know, not even the war footing in the Middle East. Look how many VA scandals we've had over the last 2 years under this presidency. And if he wants to sit there and make a comment about the troops and about our soldiers and about our veterans, maybe he could start by helping to streamline some VA hospitals and make them more efficient to actually take care of our veterans. That would be a big improvement.
Adam, I think that's a good point, too. I think the president would have been better served had he spent more time talking about the veterans, maybe even mention the VA, because I'll tell you, there are veterans out there right now who are living in assisted housing who still can't get any help because of the graft and the corruption that's at the VA. They want this fixed. I mean, tell the president, stop worrying about speeches, work on that for a change.
Right, come up with some policy that's going to be actually helpful to all the veterans out there who served and their families. I think it's a great point and a good time on this day for that discussion. Why not take this opportunity when you say thank you for your service, and guess what? Here's what we're going to do to recognize and show appreciation for that service by improving all the medical access, the different forms of help that we can give the veterans that are back home and that really need it.
60 seconds left here, and I tell you what, I'm going to come to you first on this, Ryan, for a quick comment. Interesting how it seems a lot of the GOP candidates are sort of backing away from Iraq right now, and they're backing away from the military. That's got a lot of veterans very upset right now, and I think these GOP candidates should rethink where they stand on a lot of these issues.
You know, I do believe in my heart, I always had that the Iraq War was a mistake. I think that every Republican who says that is actually with the voice of the American people on that issue, that Iraq was a mistake and is, and I think that they're not wrong for sitting there and saying that it's a mistake. That being said, we should take care of the veterans that came from home from that war, disabled, PTSD, or injured in any way, shape, or form. And that's maybe what they should reflect on, looking into the future rather than reflecting on the past.
There you go, Adam. 30 seconds to you. Stop worrying about, well, not even, let's stop with the past. Let's move forward here. Mistakes are made. Let's admit the mistakes, but let's move forward so no more American men and women die in stupid wars.
Absolutely, right or wrong, whatever your viewpoint was on the Iraq conflict, it's past now. So let's learn from that is the key. Learn from it, move on, and as you said, Ed, let's look for answers rather than past problems.
Gentlemen, look out. We're talking common sense here, which could be very frightening indeed. I think the people inside the Beltway would immediately hammer us for doing something so egregiously insane. Adam Thompson, Ryan Girdusky, gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate your time. Have a very reflective Memorial Day.
Thank you, Ed.
All right, stay with us. And as I mentioned, by the way, telling it like it is later on, we'll talk about this Memorial Day greeting. Stay with us. The Hardline will continue.